What's good, everyone? My name is Jed. Welcome back to episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. The first road course race of the 2024 NASCAR season is in the books at Circuit of the Americas. Once again, domination, this time by the Hendrick Motorsports camp. It seems as though we're setting up a rivalry between Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports, because I'm pretty sure every single race outside of Atlanta has been won by either an HMS driver or a Joe Gibbs driver. And really, this race as a whole could be summed up between Hendrick Motorsports versus Joe Gibbs Racing. But there were three drivers that were at the head of the table, and that was Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs, and of course, William Byron. Byron started on pole and led majority of stage one up until a few laps ago when Ty Gibbs, who was in second place and a bunch of others, decided to pit to prepare for the next stage. Christopher Bell stayed out, won stage one. And this is something we expected to see on the road courses, is that drivers stay out and you'll have one or two options. The drivers that prepare for the next stage, meaning that they pit with a few laps ago, and the driver stays out to get some stage points. That's usually how it went. Stage two, same thing applied. Bell continued to lead, and even though he stayed out, because once stage two began, he actually didn't pit at all, he was able to hold on to the lead for another 5 more laps for stage two, until William Byron takes lead and Ty Gibbs followed suit, following right behind him in second place. Again, just like stage one, those two led the way up until a few laps ago when they elected to pit to prepare for stage three. Denny Hamlin, who already had a win in the bank, elected to stay out, earn his first stage win of the year. And then stage three. Stage three was a bit intriguing because you had a change of pace in terms of the drivers out in front. When stage three began, Ross Chastain, who won at COTA 2 years prior, emerged as the race leader, was able to hold on, even though he didn't have the fastest car with that track position, was able to hold on to that lead very nicely. And once again, Gibbs following Sue right behind him in second place, taking advantage of a restart. And Gibbs, again, had a faster car than Chastain. He was even trying to take some shots at Chastain, getting to the inside of him, but Chastain, being one of the, if not the toughest driver currently to pass in NASCAR, made sure that he held his ground and kept Gibbs at bay. The same could not be said for William Byron. Now, even though Chastain did his best to hold off Byron, though, with some great racing. There was some really good side-by-side racing between Chastain and Byron. Those two were duking it out, and you would see even Chastain flat spot the tires multiple times just to try and keep ahead, or at the very least to anticipate Byron maybe dive bombing a move in either turn 1 or in turn 9, one of those sections there. Was able to, like I said, hold his ground, but Byron was able to eventually pass him. He was able to get side by side with him at the start finish line, and like I said, passing him entering turn 1. And that is when it became who would have the better pit stop. It was already evident that when Byron pits, Chastain would pit, and would be who would have the better pit stop. With 24 to go, the 1 and the 24 pits, Chastain, not only he got on pit road, his whole pit road sequence was slower. The pit stop itself was a lot slower than Byron. The 24 team was able to give Byron a massive lead, so much so that Chastain fell back to third in the process because of how slow his stop is. The reason why he fell back to third was because Alex Bowman, who pitted a lap prior to the two leaders, was able to get out ahead of Chastain to move into second place. But Byron had a massive gap on the field. But there was one driver that everybody was looking out for, and that was the 20 of Christopher Bell. Now, Bell, he stayed out. When Byron and those guys, Byron, Chastain, Bowman pitted, Bell stayed out for about a couple more laps or so, and then decided to pit. Because of that, he was able to have 4 or 5 lap fresher tires. Started out bad, I believe 12-15 seconds behind the leader, but because of those fresh tires, was able to eat away at Byron's lead, which is logging faster laps every single time. Again, the problem with that, though, is that there was not enough time on the clock. With a few laps ago, he was able to make so much ground, was able to move up into second place, eventually getting by Ty Gibbs. But in the end, Bell was 1 second behind Byron, but he had too little 2 laps. He needed just 1 more lap to have a shot at Byron. Byron was able to hold off Christopher Bell to win at Circuit of the Americas for his 12th career Cup Series win, becoming the first repeat winner of 2024. And he has won 2 now of the last 3 road course races. And this is also a fun little nugget. This is his 10th win in the next gen era, which is the most of all drivers. Here's a look at the race results here. Christopher Bell, like I said, oh so close, coming home in second. William Byron started first and finishing in first. Ty Gibbs, once again, another great run for him in that 54 car. I mean, the past few weeks, I mean, he finished third here today, last week ninth, third at Phoenix, fifth at Vegas, a 10th at Atlanta, his fifth consecutive top 10 finish, a great start for that 54 team. Alex Bowman, after struggling for a good part of this year, last year he struggled after his back injury. Now, looks like he's starting to get back into form. Finished fourth last week at Bristol and another fourth place here today. Tyler Reddick, another driver that a lot of people thought that would have a shot at winning, comes home in fifth. AJ Allmendinger in the 13 car for Colleague Racing in sixth. Chastain in seventh. Chris Buescher, a quiet eighth place finish. Kyle Busch in ninth. Now, Busch had an eventful day. He got taken out by Christopher Bell earlier in the race. And after the race, at the post-race events, you saw Kyle Busch angrily, furious at Christopher Bell, and I'm sorry, but Christopher Bell just looks like he's on the verge of tears the way Kyle Busch was going after him. So yeah, Busch has had a very eventful 2024 season, and even though he did get taken out, like I say, was able to rebound to a top 10 finish in ninth, and Truex Jr. in 10th. Now, Truex Jr., there you see Bubba Wallace in 15th place. Great rebound for those two drivers, because on lap 1, I don't know if I have footage of this, but on lap 1, Corey LaJoie, who started, I believe, in the 5th position, for some reason decided to commit murder on the two Toto drivers and just turn hard left coming off of turn number 1 after he went wide, slam into the side of Truex Jr., then make contact with Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace then, I think his toe link got messed up. Basically, the steering wheel was pointed towards 1 o'clock, so it was, they had to realign that car. He was back to 39th because he spun out multiple times. He got taken out by Brad Keselowski. He had multiple issues. So for him to rebound to 15th place after the day he has had, I think that's a solid day for that 23 team. Meanwhile, Joey Logano in 11th place. Let's just say a solid day for that 22 team with the season that they've had so far. His teammate Ryan Blaney in 12th. Chase Briscoe, another solid top 15 finish for him. Denny Hamlin, the stage 2 winner, in 14th. Chase Elliott in 16th. Now, he was running in the top 5, but late in the race was nabbed by NASCAR for cutting the S's, but he got loose. If there is footage of it, he basically lost the car in the S's, and then that's what sent him off track. But with NASCAR, no exceptions. Got penalized, had to do a pass-through. Justin Haley, good run for him in that 51 team in 17th place. Kyle Larson, he got taken out by Christopher Bell also earlier in the race. Austin Cindric and Zane Smith rounds out the top 20. Shane Van Gisbergen in 21st. John Hunter Nemechek 22nd. Carson Hocevar, Ryan Preece, and Corey LaJoie the top 25. Austin Dillon, Todd Gillen, Kaz Grala, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Kamui Kobayashi. Okay, I'm just going to say this right now. I think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. hates foreigners. I'm just saying that right now. I don't think he likes foreigners because I don't know what is it with him and British. I mean, okay, I can understand not liking the British, but what the hell did Kamui do to you? He got into Kamui, took him out. Keep in mind that last week, or I should say last year at the Indy Road Course, he also took out Kamui. What did he do to you, Ricky? Again, I can understand you not liking the British. Fair point. But what the hell did Kamui do to you? He did nothing to you, bro. By the way, I should say with Kamui, that man was a target. Not only did he get taken out by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he also got dumped by Josh Berry. I'm pretty sure he got dumped by another 1 or 2 drivers. I mean, he had just type of day. I know, obviously I don't know what he's thinking, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking like, oh my God, did I do something wrong with these people? Do these people hate me? Because the amount of times he was just getting tossed around like a rag doll, the way he was getting beaten, pushed, turned around by everybody. Anyways, ran out the field is Harrison Burton, who spun very early in the race. Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, who spun late in the race. Noah Gragson also spun. Josh Berry, Timmy Hill, Daniel Hemrick, don't know what happened with him, but Michael McDowell lost power steering, so he finished in 39th place. So, thoughts on this race. Let's first talk about Fox. Wow, they sucked. We need to have Jeff Gluck always has this, was this a good race? We need a, was this a good broadcast? Because the amount of things that Fox missed, and this is why I'm going to explain my thoughts on this race as a whole. Fox missed so many battles. I was watching on NASCAR Drive or whatever that's called now, like I was watching that camera angle. There were a lot more battles than what TV was showing. TV, I don't know what is it with Fox again. They are so fixated on zooming in on one car. Keep in mind how big COTA is. There was so many battles that Fox just never aired. Or they never put on the TV screen, but was so fixated on either Byron or Gibbs or Bell, but one car per screen. Eventually, we did get to see some battles. Like there was a great battle with Alex Bowman and a few other drivers, 3 wide racing. There were battles, just TV never showed it. And they missed so many spins, missed so many things. Once again, not surprising, another poor production from Fox, which at this point is not surprising. The race itself wasn't the greatest race, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a good, solid race. I would give this like a 7 out of 10. For road course standards in the next gen era, I thought it was solid. Now, we do need, again, this goes back to Goodyear, tire wear. We need tire wear because this tire just would not wear for shit. It would not wear at all. The part that had me intrigued was the strategy, because you had so many drivers that were electing one of 2 strategies, either a 2-stop event by either, like for example, a Christopher Bell that was trying to go off sequence with the traditional 3-stop strategy that, you know, let's say like a Tyler Reddick or a Ty Gibbs or William Byron would do to set up for the final stage. So it was very intriguing, the different types of strategies that other drivers were doing. So that kept me entertained. Stage 3 I thought was the most entertaining because you did have that battle between Chastain and Byron. You know, Chastain I think was really the first driver to show something, you know, against William Byron, and the battle between Bell and Byron with Bell just eating away at Byron's lead I thought was very entertaining. So I thought stage 3 was the most fun out of the whole race. It wasn't the greatest, but it was solid. I still would prefer to have no stage cautions into it, just to allow the race to flow more naturally. This was still a natural-like race. There was no cautions for cause. The only 2 cautions were the actual stage cautions, so it was a nice change of pace. Again, not every NASCAR race needs to be exciting, entertaining. Now, Phoenix was just Phoenix, but I thought this race was unique and entertaining in its own way. I don't think it necessarily passed the eye test like an Atlanta or a Vegas or a Bristol. Well, Bristol was entertaining in its completely own right. But I thought this race from a road course perspective was very entertaining in terms of the strategy that was being played out between the different drivers. And I thought it was entertaining to watch. Wasn't the most fun, but was still fun in its own way. As for some of the drivers, William Byron, once again, this is the 3rd year in a row he has become the first driver with multiple victories. The last time that happened was another driver in the 24 car named Jeff Gordon, I think between 1996 and 1998, where he was the first driver to win multiple races in the season. I mean, him and Rudy Fugle, Byron and Rudy Fugle, I'm telling you, I've said this time and time again, that team, that relationship is money, is magic. Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole, I mean, stellar performance, 2nd and 3rd with Bell and Gibbs. Gibbs, he is going to win a race one day. Bell is going to be a champion one day. In fact, all 3 of these drivers, credible futures. Byron and Bell, future champions. Gibbs, he's going to win a race this year. I mean, again, when you have 5 straight top 10 finishes at all various different types of tracks, that tells me that that 54 car is good everywhere. His time will come. His time will indeed come. I mentioned Alex Bowman, 4th place finish for him. Hendrick Motorsports, again, it was one of those days for that team. I mentioned with Joe Gibbs Racing. With Joe Gibbs Racing, it was the 20 and the 54. The 19 had his issues, but rebound for a 10th place finish. Hamlin's not a road course guy, so I'm kind of not surprised to see him finish to where he did. But Hendrick Motorsports, you know, I expected Byron. Did not expect Bowman to be in the top 5, but, you know, I expected more out of a Chase Elliott. Granted, he wasn't 5th after that penalty and Larson spun, so you kind of have to put asterisks next to it. But it was interesting to see the usual suspects that you would expect to see from the road courses at Hendrick Motorsports. Like you would expect Larson or Elliott to be up front dominating, but it was really Byron and Bowman that sold the show or that carried the banner for the Chevy Hendrick Motorsports brand, and for the Toyota JGR brand, it was Gibbs and Bell. So it was a nice change of pace to see then from the veterans. Oh, yeah, I guess you could call them the veterans of the sport. It's weird calling Larson and Elliott veterans because they're still young, but Okay, so let's talk about Kyle Busch again. I just need to go back to this clip because the way how it looks like, I feel like that's Bell's fault because Bell was nowhere near. Like I get it, like there was a spot there, but no way Bell was gonna make that without hitting Busch the way it's set up. But can we just look at this video clip and how, first of all, Bell looked shocked. He didn't know what to do. Like I say, to me, it looked like he was on the verge of tears the way Busch approached him. But look at this at the end. He tried to dab him up. He tried to dab him up. Oh, yo, Bell, it's okay, man. I've been in your shoes. When you want to dab someone up, and they just say, go F yourself, I'm out. I'm sorry, but when I noticed that, I'm like, oh man, Bell, he probably felt hella embarrassed from that alone. I'm pretty sure that felt so embarrassing. It's like, damn, you gotta leave me hanging, bro. But now for Busch, listen, with Busch, after everything he's went through for this year, I feel like this 9th place finish for him after he got taken out, I feel like this is something that this team can look at and say, okay, we can build something off of this, a top 10 finish after what they've been through. I'm not going to mention the other RCR driver. We're just going to move on past that. But a final driver I want to talk about is Shane Van Gisbergen. I'm surprised, but at the same time, I'm not, because this ain't 2004 where any road course ringer on top equipment is just going to steal the show. I mean, the way when you go to these traditional road courses like a COTA, a Sonoma, or Watkins Glen, today's drivers are built to be able to handle these types of conditions. So I'm not surprised to see Shane not be dominant like the way some people were expecting, but I am so surprised to see him finish 21st, to see him finish this low compared to his teammate like AJ Allmendinger, finished in the top 10, I think in 6th place. So I'm kind of surprised to see the difference in that. But yeah, overall, just final thoughts. I thought the race was solid, but man, the tire wear, we're back to that. I mean, again, like I mentioned earlier with Christopher Bell, when he stayed out, when stage 2 began, he led for 5 more laps, didn't pit, and was still able to put up some really good lap times. I mean, Goodyear, we praised you last week, but we're going to drag you through the mud this week. Your tire sucks. It is still way, way, way too hard, and we need to soften them up. Again, I mean, okay, I don't want Bristol again because that was a bit excessive, and I'd much rather have a much more straightforward race like this one than an embarrassment like what we saw near the end of last year's race. But still, we need to fix this tire problem because this tire just would not wear out. Again, either do what you did at Bristol, create a tire that is literally, well, they say they didn't even create a tire. Okay, Goodyear, for future references, create a tire that's literally on the verge of exploding, or should I say exploding, of cording, on the verge of that, or more horsepower. One of the two. Bristol proved that. You either do one of the two and you'll solve a lot of problems. So that's how we'll end it off with that. But what are your thoughts on this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you not? Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thanks for watching.